Hey, this is Aaron Smith, the Art Guy, and it's time for another vlog. It's been a while since I did this. I've actually recorded a few, but I wasn't happy with the quality, so I didn't bother editing or uploading them. But here we are. And today's topic is the curse of good enough. You know what this is. Even if you've never heard of this name before, you have encountered this either in your class where you've got the big desk or in your class where you've got the little desk. You have heard of this. Good enough. What is good enough to get the grade? Maybe you weren't the person who focused on only being good enough, but there are those classes where maybe you're not that interested in, or maybe the student's not that interested in, they just want to get that assignment over with. What grade is good enough? There were some classes as I was growing up where good enough was a C. It was high enough in the echelon of grades that my mom, a former public school teacher herself, did not come down on me very hard about. But it wasn't exactly an A. I had not mastered the material, and matter of fact, the main class where I got C's in was my French class, and I can barely speak it. The best I can do is je ne parle pas français. I was good enough to pass. Good enough wasn't enough to be able to do anything useful with it. In another regard, we just had a massive snowstorm that we're still recovering from a little bit. Oh, I shoveled the walk good enough. Well, good enough maybe for me. My wife is handicapped. Good enough for me is not the same as good enough for her. If she slips and falls, we've got some problems. And good enough sometimes also means, did you shovel out enough so that when they plow through, they don't plow the handicap ramp shut? Twice. More than twice. Good enough is not good enough if you're missing something important. In any case, there's all these different problems that can occur from just thinking about what's good enough. And I've tried to combat that in my class because you may have heard me talk about this before. My students get one of two grades on any assignment. They either get an A because they did everything I asked for, or they get a 0 because they missed something important. And that first time they hand in that project, that starts a dialogue with me about what skills are needed and what things need to change in order for them to earn that A. Unfortunately, a lot of them aren't used to this dialogue. They're used to, you do as good a job as you can and then you hand it in. Or you do what you think is good enough for the assignment and then you're done. And good enough might work there, but it doesn't work in my class because if they decide, I've done enough on this assignment, it's good enough, it's a 0. And then what's going to happen? Well, one of two things. One is they push through, either through their own self-motivation or motivation from myself or motivation from their parents or a combination of all those things, and they get that A. And they do work that they never would have done otherwise because they didn't stop at good enough. They stopped at awesome. And the other is they decide, no, this is good enough. I'm going to move on to the next thing. And they end up getting a 0. They're falling prey to the curse. Oh, this was good enough. Good enough isn't good enough in my class. It's something I've been thinking about a lot. It's something that I've been trying to combat a lot. Some students are getting into the whole dialogue concept for submitting projects, which is actually very, very easy to do when you're using a CMS like Edmodo or Google Classroom. We're using Google Classroom in my case because they're video assignments, so they're really big, and Edmodo doesn't let you hand in something more than 128 megabytes without it freezing up on you. But I shouldn't be the only one having this conversation. So if you follow the hashtag on Twitter, BYOTchat, it is specifically a hashtag for talking about bring your own devices and bring your own technology into the classroom. Something that I'm a proponent of. I let my students bring their own technology into my classroom. Well, we're going to talk about what's good enough and whether good enough is actually good enough. There will be the exact day. I can't remember off the top of my head, so I will put it over here, maybe somewhere right here. I'll have the day and time. Check local listings for details. And I sincerely recommend, if you have a Twitter account, that you stop in and have a conversation with us about the curse of good enough. So, this has been Aaron Smith, the Art Guy. Hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you next time.